I'll be honest with everybody. I love it when the viewers here send me questions. So we have the following question here. I have a question. It's from our good friend William Rundle, who's probably one of our most faithful viewers. He always has insightful and wonderful questions, and I appreciate his friendship here on YouTube. So he said, I have a question. I'm researching a mountain in my town, and its name is, we'll say in English, is Nebo. And I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced in English. I could be wrong. In Hebrew, it's called Har Nebo, or perhaps it would be Nebo. It's not a long E, for sure not. It'll probably really technically be more like Nebo, but the way we pronounce it is Nebo, or Nevoi, if you want to be really Ashkenazic about it. So he writes, I understand that is where Moses ascended to view the land of Canaan before his death. Is that an important story? And if so, why? Happy first day of Kwanzaa, everybody. Harambe. So, and also I'll add to that, happy Boxing Day. That's correct. That's the name of the mountain where Moses ascended. I'm not sure about the significance of the name of the mountain. It is a mountain in present-day Jordan. And, that's an aspect of the story. And we know where the mountain is, but the probably main importance of the story, although there's other aspects of significance a lot of people like to talk about, I know it's very famous that Dr. Martin Luther King's last speech, his sermon the night when he was assassinated, was on this subject of Moses going up to the mountain and not being able to go over. And he said, I've seen the promised land, but he knew he wouldn't go over. That was almost prophetic in a certain way. But the main significance, I would say, in the Jewish tradition to that story is as follows, which is quite interesting in light of many popular Jewish practices, is that we specifically don't know where Moses was buried for several reasons. One is that God himself buried him, so to speak. And the other is that God did that because, according to many Jewish traditions, there was a fear that someone as great as Moses would be turned into an idol. And so therefore the place of his burial is kept a secret. Now, in light of last week's Torah readings, we have a little bit of a similar story concerning Jacob. Jacob asked that he should not be buried in Egypt because he was afraid that the Egyptians would worship him. And so therefore he asked to be buried in the land of Canaan, in Eretz Canaan, in the Marsa Machpelah, in the Machpelah cave, where his father and grandfather and his mother and grandmother and his wife Leah were buried. It seemed that Jacob had no fear that the Canaanites would worship him, and nor that his children would worship him. But he did have a fear that the Egyptians would worship him, specifically because of the blessings that Jacob imparted on the Egyptian people. It says that the Nile River was blessed. That's a Jewish tradition. And also that the famine came to an end, which means that there was only 2 years of famine. And then Jacob came and the famine came to an end in Egypt. The big question is, if that's the case, if the famine came to an end, why didn't they just go back to Canaan? But it's a kasha v'maisa, like we say. These are legends. These are not necessarily, which are there to teach us lessons, and not necessarily historical. They are true. They're in part, the midrashim are truth, but it doesn't mean that they are historical truths. They are more truths of the lessons behind them. And so that would be the lesson there. But then Moses took it a step further, we could say, or God took it a step further with Moses to say that nobody could know where Moses was buried. Not only would the Egyptians not know where Moses was buried, although I doubt the Egyptians would want to worship Moses, but nobody should know where Moses is buried. So it's just fascinating. So that's the reason, that's the major significance that we have in the Jewish tradition to that story. There are many beautiful midrashim about the death of Moses as well, and how Moses' soul said, I wish I could stay in this holy body rather than go to heaven, because the soul of Moses could not imagine that heaven could be any more holy or special than the body of Moses. So that's a very beautiful story about that event of the death of Moses. And the rabbis also say that Moses died, we call misas neshika, death by a kiss. And he said it could be compared to taking a hair out of a cup of milk. That's the level of, that's how easy it was for Moses to die. And that, meaning most of us are so married to our bodies that death is an extremely painful experience. But for Moses, it was like taking off a garment, or going from one room to the next. And so that was a very beautiful teaching that the rabbis give about the death of Moses. So that's what I can share with you. So thank you for watching, thank you for asking, and I guess a happy Kwanzaa to you as well. And I know they have a kinara. I don't know if they spin a cradle, but I don't mean to offend anybody with that, but it's quite interesting. All right. God bless you. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I mean, it's a brand new holiday. People, it's like 54 years old. Kwanzaa, All right, we're almost to 9 minutes. That's too long. Thank you for watching. But 52 great years of Kwanzaa, or whatever. 54 great years, even better. Keep remembering those noble truths, right? I guess that's Buddhism with the noble truths. But I know each candle represents something really nice and positive. All right. Why not? What's wrong with that?